Hi, it's Badder, back with Badder's Better Diorama Hacks. This is my showcase video for PLASTER-DUST and PLASTER-DUST bubble washes. You might like to pause the video at certain points to have a look at the details. There will be a collection of photographs at the end if you want to see all the various effects that I've applied to this piece of wall in front of you. I've used this as a demonstration piece. I've applied the washes, shown how to do them, mess around with them, then I've taken them all off and put them back on again. So this wall appears in various states. Enjoy, and any feedback, criticisms, positive or negative, questions will be welcomed. I haven't quite gone to full completion, but on this side of the wall you can see PLASTER-DUST and PLASTER-DUST bubble washes. Now I didn't go to the extreme with the bubble washes, but you can see bubbly, frothy, circular effects on there. Centre screen now, and then going down here. And again at the bottom of the wall. PLASTER-DUST wash is primarily designed to add texture to things like stonework. I'll use it on woodwork as well. But it also can be used to fill mortar gaps looking like old crumbling mortar. And often the white dusty deposits on the stonework can look like salts which have leached out of the mortar or out of the stonework itself, whereas the bubble wash is specifically designed to recreate biological effects ranging from mildew, slime, mould, algae, up through lichens or lichens depending on your preference for pronunciation, and mosses. I'm going to do something very unusual now. So if I carried on with this wall it would be completed. But this is a demonstration video, so I'm going to demonstrate the wonderful thing about these techniques. What's he doing? What is he doing? He must have spent hours doing that. Oh, that looked really good. Well, yes, it did look good. But the thing is, it literally only took me minutes to apply those washes to achieve all those effects, and it is so easy and so quick that it really is no skin off my nose to take the whole lot off and start again. This is why you use PLASTER-DUST, because if that had been plaster of Paris powder mixed with water when I applied it, it would have been a chemical reaction and the slurry, the paste or whatever you want to call it, would solidify into rock basically. It's not dusty anymore, it is a homogeneous piece of cast plaster, if you like, all over your model. It gets into all the joints, mortar gaps, gets into all the details and completely clogs everything up. And you wouldn't then be able to play around with it in the same way that you can with the PLASTER-DUST washes. So what you do is you add water to the plaster of Paris powder off the model first and create a lump of cast plaster. The plaster of Paris, because you've added water to it to make a cast, is no longer thirsty for water. It's taken up all its water and reacted with it. So when you crush, file, grind, sand it down into dust and grit, that dust and grit is also unreactive with water. It remains in suspension as dust and grit. None of it reacts with water or with other particles. So when you slap it on your model, the water evaporates and leaves dust and grit on your model, and that dust and grit can be played around with a damp brush. It can be picked out of the mortar gaps in places to create missing mortar. You can brush some of it off with a stiff brush off the surface, or wipe it off with a damp brush, or you can remove the whole lot with a stiff wet brush. The whole lot will come off, but the idea is to play around with it until you get the effects you're looking for. Yep, that's it, perfect. And then you seal those effects, matte varnish or a gloss varnish, and then add more washes on top. So I'm loading up a large old brush, fairly stiff bristles, and then I've filed and crushed some plaster, so there's a mixture between sort of talcum powder consistency up to grit particles. I've just loaded the brush up with water. Off to the left there, I'm sure you know what water looks like, and then grit, and then just literally no finesse whatsoever. Stipple it on as well. You experiment and see what it comes out like. I mean, I know what this is going to look like when it's dry. It's going to be almost, I'm not going to say white because there's a bit of colour in the water I'm using, but that is going to dry much lighter, much paler, and it won't take too long, and it will speed up if I use an airbrush. You see here especially the plaster dust is drying almost immediately, and there's a jet of air. You have to wait for it to fully dry before you know what the finished thing is going to look like. But again, that can all be played around with. It's a little bit on the pale side, so just rub it back a bit with a damp brush. This bit there is going to have a plank across it, a piece of board, or it did have, but it fell off when the wall collapsed, and obviously the stonework underneath that board was protected from the elements, so it will look less weathered. The effects really rather nice, more so on this side where the wall is better modelled. But now I'm going to add the PLASTER-DUST bubble wash, and for that I am going to add pigment. So green acrylic ink. I only use inks nowadays. Well, 95% of my work doesn't smell, it's water soluble, sprays neat from the airbrush, and comes with a nice teak pipette, which is handy for loading your airbrush. It's water soluble, but it dries water resilient. The longer you leave it, the more difficult it is to remove, but it still can be removed. So plaster dust, ink, detergent, washing up liquid, and then you dab your brush in some water, detergent, ink, and then the idea is to create sort of a pasty, frothy mix, and then apply that. Again, just slap it on. So the bubble wash is specifically to create biological effects, 3D textured biological effects. And now I'm doing sideways presses of the brush to create these bubbles that you can see. Now hopefully when they pop they will remain as 3D bubbly structures because of the plaster dust that is in the mix. The other side. Not quite got the mix right. Yeah, don't use your best brushes for this. So by adding a bit of water, it's made it more bubbly. And hopefully they will dry and pop. Leave those bubble effects behind. So that is basically it, and I'll come back in a few minutes and see what that looks like. I'm not going to blow that at all with the airbrush, I'm just going to let all that pop naturally. I've left the water dry naturally. It's basically returned to how it was at the very beginning of this video, only some of the 3D bubbles are a lot better defined. Center screen now, 3D bubbles. Center screen now, 3D. And there are some microscopic 3D bubbles going on all over the place. On the stonework, the rubble. But those are really rather nice. And again on this side. And they look like lichen, and I am going to carry on playing with this and actually take this to completion. I'm going to add some sap green bubble washes, but the first thing I'll do is seal those 3D bubbles with matte varnish. That demonstrates the effectiveness and the ease and the speed and the versatility and the forgiving nature of plaster dust and plaster dust bubble washes. You mess around with it, reactivate it, push it around until you get the effects you're looking for, and then you seal it with a varnish. I will slap this stuff over everything. My entire building has had and will get plaster dust and plaster dust bubble washes. And if you've got a partner with a hairdryer who doesn't mind you burning them out, you can do this whole wall in a matter of, I don't know, 10 minutes start to finish. So I highly recommend it, and if you do try it, don't be scared. Please come back and let us know how you got on. I'm going to call that it then. Thanks very much, you take care everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.